Good morning, everybody. It's great to be with you all. Everybody's kind of lively. It's amazing what a Chiefs win will do for the livelihood of the Ag Outlook Forum the next morning. So it is fantastic seeing everybody. Great to be with you. I understand that Senator Moran stopped by earlier this morning on his way to the airport. I actually was on a flight set right next to Jerry flying home on Thursday of last week, and he mentioned he was going to be here earlier, and I'm here later in the morning. Unfortunately, I have to follow our senior senator, but dear friend, great guy, appreciate what he's doing on the Senate side for agriculture. Appreciate whoever had the whistle that kind of called us to order. I have 4 elementary age school children, and I could use that skill, to say the least. So we had, I don't know why I'm telling you this. We had a fun, full weekend. I went to the K-State game with 2 of my daughters on Friday night. And then Saturday, my son turned 11, so we had his birthday party. We played Capture the Flag. Yesterday, we go to church. I don't know why I'm telling you. It's happened to be name tag Sunday. And I look over, my 6-year-old is over there, and I'm thinking, oh, that's great. Elise, who's our youngest, she was over there filling out her little deal. And, look up, and we're leaving a while later. We live in Salina, and I'm in the parking lot. My kids start laughing at me. And Elise, my 6-year-old, didn't write her name on her name tag. She wrote on her name tag, "My dad is stinky," and then put it on my back. So I'm walking around church with this little sign on the back that says, "My dad is stinky," which I guess when you're a member of Congress, you just kind of get criticism from all directions. Par for the course. But I kind of got her back because she misspelled stinky. She spelled stinky Stencké. So I don't know if anyone at church actually knew what she was meaning. But anyways, it's a fun weekend. Appreciate you all being here. Appreciate that everybody in this room cares about agriculture. I get to represent the Big First District. We're one of the top 3 ag producing districts in the whole country. The top 3, by the way, of 435 districts, the top 3 are all right about the same. My district would be number 1 for beef production, number 1 for wheat production, number 1 for sorghum production, number 7 for corn, and number 11 for dairy. So it's all about agriculture for us, our family farms and feeds cattle in western Kansas. I grew up in Quinter, where my dad and brother still farm full time. In fact, Dad's trying to pick corn this morning. So they're working on that. My brother's about to start drilling wheat. The other side of my family, my mother's from Johnson or Stanton County, which is about as far south and west in Kansas as you can get. And whenever I'm here at this hotel or in downtown Kansas City, I think about my great-grandfather who he ranched in Stanton County. And once a year, he would drive his cattle into town, put them on rail, ride from southwest Kansas up here to the stockyards, would sell his cattle, take the money he had, would spend the night at the Mulebach Hotel, and then take the train out the next morning. And so there's a long history of agriculture in our family, but more importantly in our district, and the importance of connection to transportation. And that's why I'm on both the Ag Committee and the Transportation Infrastructure Committee as well, 2 very important committees for our industry. We were at a hearing the other day in the House, and I told everybody if I was going to summarize where I see agriculture at right now in my district, if we were going to use one word to summarize it, my word would be concerned. Especially for our commodity growers, when you look at where input costs are compared to where prices now are, now that they've dipped, unless we hit it out of the park on yields, some will, a lot won't due to the weather conditions we have. We have a lot of really good producers that are going to have a tough year. And the concerning thing to me is as you project out, really looking at where things are going to continue to be, because it sure seems like this environment we're in of high input costs is not going to change anytime soon, which is all the more reason that I have been urging other members of Congress to get serious about getting a 5-year farm bill passed and locked into place. And to be clear, if we were to pass a 5-year farm bill today, it's not going to solve the cash flow issues for ag producers, but at least for them and their lenders, it would lock in some certainty. I've been on the floor of the House now 32, 33 times, urging folks to get serious and reminding them of the importance of getting a 5-year farm bill passed. I also, in my role in Congress, am constantly reminding people, both groups but also other members of Congress, why are we doing this in the first place? In other words, why do we have 5-year farm bills? And I would say it's because, and a reminder to everybody, 5 years is long enough to provide some certainty, but short enough that these bills can be adjusted and adapt and change with the times. And the biggest change now versus 2018 is where we currently see input costs. I feel good about the bill that we passed out of the House Ag Committee. I had a whole bunch of tweaks and priorities that we were able to get into the bill. There's no perfect legislation, there never is, but it's a really good bill. Passed out of the House Ag Committee late May, I think it was May the 24th. Bipartisan, which matters because, you know, if we're going to get a farm bill done, or when we get a farm bill, it's going to have to be bipartisan because you have Republicans control the House, of course Democrats control the Senate, and you have President Biden in the White House. And so the fact that that bill passed out of the House Ag Committee bipartisan matters. It was a good bill. And my sense is, you know, I've been in Congress for 4 years now. My sense is some pieces of legislation age better than others. And I feel like that bill has aged really well, meaning passed out late May. I think if that same piece of legislation came to the Ag Committee today, I think there'd be more yes votes. I think it's aged well. And also, the reality of where the farm economy is at has also changed or really come to bear this summer and heading into this fall. You know, when you have an $80 billion drop in net farm income, $80 billion, the biggest drop we've seen in the last 2 years. The last 2 years we've seen the biggest drop in history. In my view, this position of we're going to continue to delay and not do anything from a farm bill standpoint, I think that ice becomes more thin. I think that position becomes more difficult to defend, and it just is all the more reason that we've got to get the farm bill done. A lot of other things, as you all are well aware, also impacting agriculture in Congress. One of the big things that's starting to come on the radar is taxes. So, of course, you know, the Tax Cut and Jobs Act, many people call it the Trump tax cut, all those tax provisions expire December 31 of next year. So 16 months from now, 16 and a half months from now, if Congress doesn't act, everybody in this country is going to see a tax increase to the tune of probably around $5 trillion is the number that I've seen on what that really means. Very important things for agriculture, and they're not just the tax rate, but also the ability to expense R&D, some accelerated depreciation provisions, and additionally the state tax, which is a big deal for our ag producers. You know, the combined exclusion is going to drop way down if Congress doesn't act and make a move on the state taxes. What does the tax environment look like? January 1 of 2026 will be a direct result of what happens here in November. Elections have consequences, and there's a lot of talk about what might happen, but until you know what the political landscape looks like, you know, what the makeup of the House and the Senate and the White House are, it's really hard to say, but just know that's going to be a big issue facing agriculture. And then also a lot of regulations that just continue to come out of the administration that I hear from my ag producers all the time as being problematic, unneeded, adding costs to them as they try to deliver the safest, most cost-effective food supply in the world. One of those regulations, you know, as the rules are being written on this provision called 45Z, matters a lot for our biofuels producers, to say the least. I led a letter last week that I think we had 40 other members signed on to that's urging the administration to, you know, finish up the rules on 45Z, and let's also make sure that those rules are written in a way that it only benefits our domestic ag producers. It makes no sense to me that we would have policies in place in this country that would benefit us importing ag products when we can do it here in our country better than anywhere in the world. So I see my time's about up. I would just close with this. Some perspective, we as a nation, we are 248 years old. So it's been 248, almost 250 years since Thomas Jefferson, wrote the Declaration of Independence, and we set off on this journey towards freedom. We are the free country that we are, and the greatest country in the history of the world for a host of reasons, but one of which is that we've never had to rely on another country for our food supply. We've never had to rely on another country for our food supply. And if you look at our great nation on a map sometime, just really think about how the largest plot of farmland, contiguous farmland in the entire world, is protected on the east by the Appalachian Mountains, on the west by the Rockies, on the north by the expansive Canadian tundra, and it's really hard to invade us from the south because the Gulf is not very deep, and you've got to sail by a whole bunch of Caribbean islands. So we kind of won the lottery as a nation when we have the largest plot of farmland, of contiguous farmland in the world, right smack dab in the middle of the country. And oh, by the way, we also have the longest navigable waterway, not the longest waterway, the longest navigable waterway in the world on the planet that runs right through the middle of it, right? So we were very blessed. We got dealt an ace with our farmland, and it's incumbent upon our Congress and everybody in this room to make sure, I believe, that we do everything we possibly can do to protect it, make sure their ag producers have the tools that they need in place to make sure that we maximize this tremendous blessing that we were given in our farmland in this country, to make sure that we feed, fuel, and clothe not just our country, but we're part of doing that for the rest of the world as well. So look forward to hearing from the Undersecretary. Thank you all very, very much for having me. I'm going to stick around for lunch, so any questions, just come up to me, but thank you all for taking time and hearing me this morning. Thanks.